Owala has over 90,000 five-star reviews. It's highly recommended by media outlets, and more than 2 million people per month search for the brand. But do these bottles actually live up to the hype? And how do they compare to the competition? To find out, I tested Owala's 2 most popular water bottles and its most popular travel mug against 16 other top-rated brands. I tested how well they keep drinks cold and hot, how leak-proof they are, how fast they flow, and how well they withstand drops. I also compared their design, how well they fit in cup holders, how easy they are to use with one hand, and how simple they are to take apart and clean. In this review, I explain what I love about Owala, the major issues that I found during my testing, and whether it truly lives up to the hype. Owala claims that its triple-layer insulated water bottles keep drinks cold for up to 24 hours, and they claim that the travel mugs keep drinks hot for up to 6 hours. To see if these claims are true, and to see how well Owala's insulation compares to the competition, I conducted a few controlled tests. I filled the Owala Free Sip and Free Sip Sway water bottles with water chilled to 43 degrees Fahrenheit, then measured the temperature after 6, 12, and 24 hours. I ran the same test with 8 other similarly sized insulated water bottles. At all 3 measurements, Owala ranked in the middle of the pack. However, the difference between the best and worst bottles was pretty small. After 24 hours, the water in Owala's 2 bottles was only about 3 degrees warmer than the best performer. The results with Owala's Smooth Sip Slider travel mug were a different story. Before I get into that, I want to quickly thank Laundry Sauce for sponsoring this video. If you're not familiar, Laundry Sauce makes laundry pods, dryer sheets, scent boosters, fabric softener, and a bunch of other laundry products. But what they're best known for is their wide range of scents, which are way different than what you'd find at a grocery store. I've been using Australian sandalwood, which is soft and woody. It smells more like a cologne than a detergent. The scent is noticeable but not overpowering. You obviously want your clothes to smell good, but if the detergent doesn't clean well, none of that really matters. So to test it out, I took a bright white shirt, stained it with ketchup, mustard, and balsamic vinegar, let the stains set in for a while, and then washed it with 1 laundry sauce pod. Here's the before, and here's the after. What I also like is that there's no measuring. With the pods, you don't have to deal with a sticky cup sitting in your laundry area getting messy. You just toss in a pod and you're done. If you want to try out the best smelling detergent that cleans really well, check out the link in the video description and use code PRUDENTREVIEWS15 to get 15% off. So I mentioned the travel mug was a different story. To test it, I filled Owala and 8 other mugs with water heated to 190 degrees Fahrenheit, placed them outside in temperatures well below freezing, and checked the temperature after 1, 3, 6, and 15 hours. Unfortunately, Owala didn't do a great job keeping liquids hot. It ranked near the bottom at every measurement. After 6 hours outside, the water cooled to 99 degrees, which was 56 degrees cooler than the top performer. After 15 hours, it cooled to 55 degrees, which again was significantly cooler than the others. I ran the same test again indoors to see how they perform in a normal home or office environment. The performance indoors was similar. I also tested the travel mugs with cold water. In that test, Owala ranked 7th out of 9. It finished behind brands like Zojirushi, Contigo, and Stanley, although the differences in the cold test were much smaller than with the hot liquids. Owala also claims that their bottles and mugs are leak-proof. To test that, I shook each bottle and mug upside down for 30 seconds. Then I tipped them over 3 times. The Owala Free Sip and Free Sip Sway bottles both passed the shake test with 0 leaks. The Free Sip Sway was completely leak-proof even when I tipped it over. But when I tipped the Free Sip bottle over, a few water droplets splashed out. It didn't leak nearly as much as the Gatorade bottle, but it wasn't as tight as the Sway and most of the other bottles I tested. The Free Sip Sway has a small slider that locks the lid closed so the button can't be pressed. When I tested it with the lid unlocked, a small amount of water came out on the first 2 tips. On the 3rd tip, the bottle landed directly on the button, the lid popped open, and water spilled out. So this bottle is only leak-proof when the lid is locked. And if you forget to lock it, which is easy to do, you could end up with a soaked bag. On top of that, when you flip the lid on both Owala bottles open, a few water droplets can sling backward. It's not a huge deal, but it's something to be aware of if you're opening the bottle over paperwork, electronics, or someone's face. I also did this test with Owala's travel mug, and a tiny droplet came out when I shook it upside down, and a few more came out when I tipped it over. Some mugs leaked much worse, but others like Fellow and Zojirushi didn't leak at all. When you're drinking hot coffee or tea, you want a controlled flow rate so you don't accidentally pour too much piping hot liquid and burn your mouth. To test this, I filled each mug with exactly 16 ounces of water, held them at the same angle, and timed how long they took to empty. The Owala mug emptied in 16 seconds. It's not too fast or too slow. I tested the water bottles too, and they were all between 3 and 5 seconds, so not a major difference across brands. To test durability and simulate what might happen if you accidentally knock the bottle off a table or if it falls out of your bag, I filled each bottle and mug with water, then I dropped them from waist height twice. Once on their side and once directly on the lid. The Owala Free Sip bottle and Smooth Sip slider mug both got small dents and a few scuffs, but nothing major. When I dropped the Owala Free Sip Sway bottle directly on the lid popped open, water spilled out, and the closing mechanism broke. After that drop, the lid would no longer snap shut or stay closed. The Sway wasn't the only bottle to get major damage. The Swell had a huge dent on its metal cap, the Tequila and Hydro Flask both had large dents, and the Stanley lid cracked and became unusable. Several lids popped off too, including the Yeti and Hydro Flask. That said, some brands fared much better with only minor cosmetic damage and no functional issues. After the test, I emailed Owala's customer service and explained that the bottle had been dropped and that the lid no longer closed properly. I wasn't trying to actually make a warranty claim, I just wanted to see how they'd respond to a common accident like this. They replied fast in just 6 minutes. The damage wasn't covered, but replacement lids only cost $6.99 and they offered free shipping. It's not ideal, but the fix is relatively inexpensive and I appreciate the fast response. One of the main reasons Owala is so popular is its unique free sip lid design. Unlike most bottles that make you choose between sipping from a straw or drinking from a spout, Owala gives you both options. There's a built-in straw for sipping and a wider spout opening for drinking. The larger opening also improves airflow, so you don't have to suck as hard on the straw to get water flowing. The spout itself is curved to fit your mouth. This sounds minor, but it actually makes drinking much more comfortable and natural compared to a typical straight spout. Both water bottle lids also keep the drinking area covered when you're not drinking, so your mouth never touches a surface that's been exposed. And because you just press a button to open the lid, it's incredibly easy to use one-handed. It's ideal for driving or multitasking. The original Free Sip bottle has a small carrying handle that doubles as a lock. When you flip the handle down, it covers the button so you don't accidentally press it. But the handle only fits a couple fingers, so it's not that comfortable. With the newer Sway bottle, you get a much larger, more comfortable handle and a dedicated slider to lock the lid. The larger handle also gives you better leverage when twisting off the lid. The Smooth Sip travel mug has a sliding button on top that makes it easy to open and close the spout with one hand. You can also remove the button and gasket for cleaning. The lid has more parts than most mugs, but after a couple times, taking it apart isn't difficult and it only takes a few seconds. The water bottles are also simple to take apart and clean. Both have a rubber piece inside the lid that pulls out and a gasket that seals the lid. The Free Sip gasket requires a butter knife to pop it off, but with the Sway, you can pull the gasket out by hand. The main downside of Owala's design is durability. As I learned in the drop test, the springs, locks, and moving parts are vulnerable to damage. A simple screw-on lid has fewer components and less that can go wrong. So after all that testing, does Owala live up to the hype and is it worth buying? Before I give you my take, just a quick heads up that all the bottles and mugs that I tested are linked in the video description. So I totally get the hype around Owala. The straw spout combo, the covered drinking area, and the one-handed operation make it super convenient. It's also simple to take apart and clean. And while some color combinations aren't my favorite, they give you plenty of options. The insulation is good enough for typical indoor use, especially within the first 6 hours. But it's not the best if you work outside or you need drinks to stay hot or cold for longer periods. The biggest downsides are the risk of leaks, the lid accidentally popping open, and the overall durability. Spring-loaded lids are convenient, but they're not nearly as reliable as simple twist-off lids. The bottom line is that Owala is worth buying if you want the convenience of one-handed use and the flexibility of the straw and the spout. But if you want the best durability, leak resistance, and insulation, you're better off with a water bottle like Yeti or Camelback. And in the travel mug category, Zojirushi was the winner by far. For a full breakdown of all the water bottles I tested, check out this video. And if you're more interested in travel mugs, check out this video. And for more videos like this, click the logo to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.